Yeah, so you're the founder of the White Clinic in Lisbon, Portugal. It's a renowned clinic. How come that people come from all over the world to visit your clinic in Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal, to get dentistry by you? Even superstars, pop stars, super athletes. What did you do?
It's my wife. She's smoking hot. Trust me. No, look, guys, it's first of all, it's amazing to be here. I'm very honored to be here with such illustrious people, and I've just walked around, and everybody was stuck in a hole for 2 years, and to see all of this just explosion of energy and science and technology, I'm like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory, and they're building the chocolate factory, and I'm running around like crazy. It's amazing to be here, and congratulations to everybody that's pulled this IDS together, to all your team. It's amazing. To everybody that's doing a great job, even your competition. It's fun, it's exciting. Not that they're as good, but don't worry. Everything is cumulative, and everything counts from day one. And if I have to teach my kids one lesson, is everything matters, everything. Especially in this game. It's about always being ethical. It's about always being kind, always doing the right thing, never putting money ahead of science, never putting, making a quick dollar ahead of proper treatment planning. And I guess when I graduated in 1998, I made a promise to myself that I'd never put the business ahead of my ethics. And the problem is, the more you learn, the more harder it is to do things, right? And that's where technology came in, because it allowed you to do amazing things. So I guess at the White Clinic, I've been working really, really hard with my team. It's 50 people in the team. It's not just me. It's a bunch of great doctors and people, and just so many people. And what we do is we're all really passionate with the startup mentality every day of just doing good stuff and turning our patients into fans, not into clients. So even if they don't do the treatment with us, they go home like, oh my God, that was an amazing experience, like an amazing experience. So you have to invest a lot. You have to always have the amazing technology. So a lot of people don't know this, but for many, many years, when a new patient comes to the clinic, I walk around, I give them a tour, and I show them the technologies, I show them the material, and I make them stakeholders in the business. Hey, this is a R5 milling machine. Did you know that it's won this and it does that and it costs this much money? And they're like, or I'm working with Voco products and this is the best, and I'm very passionate about this. And patients are like, oh my God. And they go home and they tell people. And if you do that consistently for 23 years, message gets out. So I think that's it. And the longer you are in it, it's easy. Maybe some people say it's easy to get to the top, but it's really hard to stay there. And we take this really, really seriously. And we're really focused on just doing good work. So we're very grateful for all of our patients that come to us, and we take the commitment very seriously. And we thankfully work with top companies like yours to keep it real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Good. Well, I guess it was also your passion that was the reason why you were offered the be part of that documentary for National Geographic. That was actually the time when we first met, when we got introduced. So tell us a little bit about that documentary.
Well, I have a background in TV. A lot of people don't know this, but to pay for my university, I did TV commercials. So I did 76 TV commercials between 1992 and 1996. And unbeknownst to me, I learned how to film and produce and all of that. And I never thought I'd use that until I saw a TV show in America in 2004 called Extreme Makeover with Dr. Bill Dorfman. And I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Now, America's American. Portugal's a very conservative country, like very conservative. And doctors are not allowed to do marketing. Long story short, I pitched the show, I got the show, and it changed my life. And I always realized that if I had the spotlight, I had a responsibility to do the right thing, right? And to inspire future generations about what doing good was. And naturally, after streaming happened, 2012, people stopped watching TV. And I always thought, I wanted to do something tougher. And the hardest in the world to get a TV show on is National Geographic, because it's actually a foundation. And they have more lawyers than directors. So you cannot say anything on National Geographic that's not true. So I said, that's where I want to go. That's the Everest. I want to see if I can do this. And I pitched this and they were like, that's not going to work. Dentistry is not cool. That was the guy's answer. He said, the producer said, dentistry is just not cool enough. So I went home really disappointed because how could he say that? It's so amazing, right? And then I realized that he's probably got great teeth and he's never experienced awesome dentistry. So I called him up. I said, find somebody in your family that's needed really advanced dentistry and ask them about their experience. And so he called me back. He said, you know what? There's more to this. So I produced a small 20-minute video myself about using all of this technology and how technology could make it fairer and more equitable for, let's say, young women in Africa or in emerging markets where it's usually very challenging for them to have a role. And technology can level the playing field. And they said, that's a really cool idea. And then Mr. Olaf Sauerbier here, who has been a longtime partner from Voco and Cuxhaven, I reached out to him. I said, could you help? And he said, yeah, I know a good guy here. And you introduced me here to Nicholas, and you immediately supported us with this technology. So thank you very much for that. And for those of you that don't know, we went to the most remote village in Uganda with an iOS scanner and a 3D printer. And we gave a young woman dentist who'd never even placed an implant in her life the opportunity to transform somebody's life using technology. And it was absolutely incredible. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for helping.
And I believe you wanted also a milling machine in Uganda, but then for what reasons
it didn't
work out? Remind me.
So yeah, we were supposed to take, I think it was the Z4.
The R5.
The R5. Yeah. We were going to take the R5 to Uganda. And actually the true story is they said they first wanted to go to Tanzania because I belong to a study club and I'm friends with the chief dental officer of Tanzania. And plus they have nice beaches there. So I thought, yeah, I'll make a nice vacation. And then they were adamant that the dentist on the show had to be the senior dentist guy. And I said, no, I want a young female, recent graduate to prove the technology worked. And Tanzania said no, so we shifted and pivoted to Uganda. And then finally, the guys at National Geographic said, listen, we can get the machine into Uganda, we just can't guarantee getting it out. So somebody might keep it. So we're like, no, we'll just go for printing. So it's a true story. It was quite funny.
Very good. Yeah, we wanted to talk today about dentures. And a lot of dentists don't like doing dentures anymore. They are focusing on supposedly more profitable work, like placing implants, for example. What made you get interested in dentures again?
Well, there's multiple angles to that story, but I think the one that would make most sense, and I never really spoke about this till you got me in trouble by going to the ExoCAD meeting in Palma de Mallorca, right? And challenged me to make dentures. And so he called me up and he asked me to do dentures. And I was always running away from dentures at the White Clinic because who wants to look at dentures when you've got all this awesome high-tech veneers and implants guided? And if you know any of my work, that's what I like to talk about, and high-tech stuff. So when you're in Formula One, you're not looking at donkey races, right? Excuse the analogy, because it's not cool. And I'd had some experience with some friends in the US, and I'd lectured in the US, and it's a big business in the US and not so much in Europe. But the truth of the matter is my mother, Valerie, he's going to kill me for saying this on camera, but my mother's British from Manchester, and in the UK, don't know why, but when she was 16, which is probably in the 50s, mid-50s, on her 16th birthday, some idiot pulled every single tooth out of her head and fitted her with dentures. So my mother's been a fully edentulous. I get emotional with this. Sorry. I wasn't expecting that. My mother's been fully edentulous her entire adult life. So I grew up with that. And I never was able to give my mother proper dentures because it takes 5 sessions to get these done. And the technique hasn't changed in 100 years, right? And unfortunately, the dental technicians don't want to learn how to make dentures because nobody's asking for them. And in any country, and I'll give you the example of Uganda. Uganda has 350 dentists for 41 million people. The only treatment they have is extraction. So the amount of fully edentulous patients in the world is quite overwhelming. And usually they're over 60. Nobody's really looking at them. And they're the forgotten, the old people that are playing chess in the park and, nobody's thinking about them, and we can't forget about the old people. So I have this emotional relationship to this, but at the same time, I'm guilty of not trying to do anything about it, you know. So I was only doing dentures for patients that, you know, I didn't want to lose them for whatever reason, but never really working, you know. And that's why we go to overdentures, and that's why we go into implant dentistry. And then you told me about the solution, and it changed everything. So shall I talk about that a bit?
Yes, up to you. Well, and actually, when you started, I didn't ask you who brought you into trouble, but what made you.
It all started again here with Olaf, my dear friend, Mr. Olaf Sauerbier from Voco, who I've had a very long relationship with. And they make some of the best materials out there. And I'd say it was about 5 years ago with the 3D printing, we started printing bases and milling the teeth and testing all of that. And it was early days. And I don't have a lot of dentures in my clinic. I mean, I would say that today we make dentures a lot for interim cases where we have to extract a lot of failed work. So a lot of failed implants, a lot of failed teeth. And for, let's say, a 1 or 2 month or 3 month period before we go in and place the implants, they have to have removables or partials. So we were working a lot with these guys, and they're great products. And then you asked me to go to the what was the meeting again? The Insights, exocad Insights.
exocad Insights.
And we've been working with exocad for a long time, and I had no idea about this. And so we tested this new software. It's amazing software that allows us to design this dentures in a very simple and user-friendly way. So I was quite impressed by how now, with iOS scanning, tabletop scanning, either way, that data acquisition, I mean, both work with special softwares that allow you to design these very easy. So from a technician perspective, you're looking at about a 45, 50 minute with some training turnaround time to design these things. And then depending on what you want, I mean, you can print, you can mill a monoblock, or you could mill a 2-component. And I think that, you know, if you want a higher aesthetics, you want to go for a 2-component with a composite as the teeth. If you want to go for something rapid, you might go for 3D printed. So it's early days to see where that's all headed. But and I'm looking into everything. But it's a really exciting time for dentures. And as the slogan says, you know, I think dentures are going to make a great comeback. And why were they forgotten in the first place? Well, they weren't very profitable. 5 sessions of chair time, analog, this and that, wax bites, this and that, wasn't very high precision, you know, having a car come and pick it up, and then these things would never fit, and then you'd have a bunch of post-op appointments because they would have canker sores here and there, and then the retention wasn't bad, and it was just tough, and nobody can say that they were amazing at dentures. So having something that can just answer that to the broader market is incredible. And I live in Lisbon, Portugal, where Paulo Maló in the 90s came up with the all-on-4, right? And at a time, there weren't many solutions for fully edentulous patients. And just for the record, I'm against extracting healthy teeth to do an all-on-4. I'm against it. I am very pro all-on-4 if you have no teeth. If that's just a disclaimer. With that said, the reason why that was so big was that there were so many edentulous patients in the country, right? So like the market was huge. And it almost became this undercurrent that if you had dentures, you were poor. It was a poor man's solution. It was the wooden leg as opposed to the bionic leg, right? And there's this social thing in popular culture that if you have a denture, it's not cool. And I think collectively we all need to not forget that people are now aging. The average age of, you know, life expectancy in the modern world is now going to 89 years old, a little bit 5 years more for women. And this is a huge part of the population that is overlooked, huge part. So I really think that dentures are going to make a huge comeback thanks to a lot of great tech companies. I think there's going to be a race to the top in the next 2 years. It's going to be a race between materials, technology, software. But at the end of the day, it's who gets the patients that wins, right?
Absolutely. The title of your lecture in Palma de Mallorca was "Make Dentures Great Again." So you you just said you expect a comeback. Can you go a little bit deeper? What do you think? How long will it take to spread the message? Are we here yet from all the material standpoint, from the processes? What can get a dentist out there more interested in milling dentures?
Well, I'm a big proponent of communicating direct to consumer. Mm-hmm. And by consumer, you guys think dentist, I think the 7 billion people, right? And I think for the longest time, this has been a closed event, industry for dentists. And if I were to ask you, who's the CEO of Tesla? You know Elon Musk, and I say, what do they produce? You will say electric vehicles and robots, all that stuff. And if I say Kellogg's, you'll go cereal and, breakfast cereals. If I say Starbucks, if I say to somebody outside VHF, they don't know what that is. So we've done collectively a terrible job at promoting this incredibly valuable universe to civilization. And we owe it to ourselves to change that narrative. So we need to change the conversation. We need to make this conversation public and create this understanding that we're here to help our community. And if we keep this self-guarded secret, no one's going to know about it. So I blame dentists, I blame the industry for doing a miserable job at promoting all of this awesomeness to the public, because what are they seeing? Toothbrushes, dental floss, mouth rinse, bleaching, aligners. That's pretty much it. That's what the public know. Veneers. If you go today in America and say, what's the most complex treatment in dentistry? They'll probably say, veneers or bleaching or align. They don't know any of the stuff that we know. So I think everybody here has got social media or a community, or even if you're not on social media, you need to speak and engage. And if you're doing, let's say, aligners or veneers on a person, say, hey, do you have anybody in your family that's missing teeth? Because I got a solution for them. So, you can't complain that you don't have business if you're not permanently talking about your business. So I don't know about you, but I have no other hobbies than this. This is my hobby. So I think we need to change the global mindset that there's new materials out there. There's new technologies out there. It's a really exciting time, and it's going to come down to the individual user and what they have. So you can only bake cakes with the instruments you have in your kitchen, right? So if you've got some of the technology, you might go this way to make them. If your patients can only pay, if you're in a wealthy neighborhood, you can go for the top-notch stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I think there's something for everybody when it comes to full arch denture business. But it starts by just making them a therapeutic option again. And when I speak to a lot of good clinicians that have, thousands of patients, I say, how many dentures do you make a month? They're like 2, 3, 8 max. And in a clinic with like 7 chairs, max. So who's making them? And I don't think that many people are making them. So it's an exciting time. Super.
Speaking of spreading the word, you are very active on social media. You have an Instagram followership of almost 275,000 followers. How do you use that? What are you spreading? What kind of word?
Honestly, that happened organically. I'm followed by Cristiano Ronaldo. So the second that happened, I went from like having 10,000 normal followers to 200,000 in a matter of months. And they are real followers. I don't buy followers. I don't buy likes. And I know a lot of people do. It's like those guys that have 5 posts and 1 million followers. I'm like, yeah, really? So let's be real. And again, dentistry is all about ethics. So I don't use it. I don't weaponize it in any way. I don't run the White Clinics one. I have a design team that do all of that, and they handle that. And I don't. It's a tough question to ask, because I only talk about things that I love. I only talk about things that I care about, people that are nice to me. I don't talk to strangers on social media. So I get a lot of requests from people. And for all the young generation, just because you can communicate me doesn't mean that I know you. And so if I'm having dinner with my wife and you come and speak to me, hey, how do you do that? I'm like, what are you talking about? So, social media, I don't see any difference there. So it's an amazing weapon. I know that there are a lot of eyes looking at, not just me, but all the people that put out great, Dr. Carlos Soto over here. I mean, your content's amazing. I'm a big fan of your work. From Boca Raton, Florida. Not only beautiful, but very, very good dentist. And so, there's a responsibility behind this, and I just think keeping it real. It's exciting to know that people are watching. So at the same time, you can't just post anything, and I try and keep it. I don't talk about my private life. I have 2 young kids. I don't show them. I don't show much of my private life because my private life is boring. So
I bet it's not.
So I try and keep it around this energy of positivity. And I have bad days. I have days when I'm very stressed. And I don't go and blab that to everybody because that's my business. So you have a lot of people that are very negative on social media. And I don't think that that's the right milieu. I also see a lot of people having arguments on social media. Why? So I don't get engaged in any of that. And I try and just be positive and just help people and inspire people to do good things. That's how I use it.
Fantastic. Well, I get a signal already. We have to come to an end. Dr. Stanley will be here for the happy hour as well. If you have any questions.
I would just like to say one very quick thing regarding this company in particular. A lot of people, when they go around here, they're looking for price. They're looking for precision. They're looking for, why should I buy this machine over that machine? Never forget one thing, service. Fabian, you're awesome. Your team is awesome. Dankeschön, you are absolutely incredible. And when people talk to me about VHF, because everything needs technical support, right? And to have somebody in the other line that's just amazing and proficient in technical support is overwhelmingly important in real life practice. So I think what you guys have, besides a great product that hardly ever gives any stress, is your technical support is amazing. So thank you to all your team, and congratulations for everything you do, and especially your new launch. And I heard that you just signed with Christian Coachman's Digital Smile Design.
Yes, exactly.
That's a great win. So congratulations.
There's some people from DSD here also tonight.
Hey, Lucan, there you go. See, that's a great one. His team are great. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your valuable time. I really appreciate that you were here tonight. And
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have
a great evening.